Hello, I'm back again. So, I began to focus on my psychic abilities and quickly learned that I definitely could go further in my quest. Um, I was at this time that when I finally acknowledged it, that I started getting these calls from the other side as I speak of, or call, the day. Um, and basically was hearing my name everywhere. Uh, I would hear it coming from outside on the street. I would think somebody said it on the subway. I would think my coworkers were saying it. I just kept hearing my name again and again and again. And to the point where I was like, this is ridiculous. It's clear someone's trying to talk to me. So I basically I went to one of these psychic meetups and I came home that night and decided, well, it must be my spirit guides. So I tried to speak to them, and it was the first time, I had two firsts. The first time I had ever actually had them, speak, I got to, they introduced themselves formally and gave me their names, three of them, but there's more than three of them, but three of them came forward that night. And they also, literally one of them, Elias, he whispered in my ear like he was standing right next to me. And it's an experience that I've had a couple more times since that point as well. It's quite interesting. So they were with me. The spirits were with me. It was quite clear. And I was feeling really good about my abilities and began to realize that I really had to do something. And in beginning of October, by the beginning of October, I basically had a major breakthrough and realized that the best way to help people and to dedicate myself to humanity is to reach out and to channel and to be a medium and to share my abilities with other people and my experiences that I've had so that they understand that it's the truth, basically, and to set people free and knowing that death is an illusion and it's only the death of the physical body and that the spirit lives on forever and never dies. And this experience is only one of many experiences of the soul and the spirit. So, you know, I decided with that breakthrough that I needed to find some place that I could go where I could start channeling and learn how to, not learn, but just have a place where I could practice my mediumship. Because a lot of this knowledge that I have is very intrinsic and it just comes to me, and I have a very innate understanding of how to do these things, which I personally believe comes from many past lives of doing the same thing. Because I have no other explanation for it. And there's no way that knowledge, that understanding of such a thing could be so, I mean, perhaps it is more innate than we understand, but who knows. But, so I decided that the best thing to do would, through my research, would be, in my research, to find out what the best thing to do would be, I found the spiritualist church. And there are many spiritualist churches all over the world. It did start in America, however, I believe. But it's basically a organization, a church, if you will, that believes in life after death, and they believe in open communication between the living and the dead, and that is a part of the world that we live in and our natural experience in duality as a physical and non-physical being. So I went to the church, and by the second time I came back to visit, I was participating in the seances and giving people messages from the other side, from their loved ones and what have you. Everything from somebody's grandmother to somebody's dog that they had when they were younger. So it was just a really incredible time for me because many messages from the other side are very specific, and I have no way of knowing when I do this what I'm saying. Even sometimes the messages I get don't even make sense to me, but I give them in good faith and find that it actually does mean something, and suddenly that person lights up and says, "Oh my gosh, that's my that's my sister," or blah blah blah. It happens. So that was an incredible experience for me. and really helped me open everything up and begin to truly embrace my psychic abilities and that part of me that I had hid away from myself and from a lot of people for most of my life. And, you know, I have friends that were like, dude, it's like you're coming out of the closet spiritually. But it's definitely was truly the case, is that for the first time I was telling everybody about all of these paranormal and extraordinary experiences that I was having on a regular basis. And, you know, finally just came clean and said, listen, this is a part of me. There was a few people that did know that I did share with, but the large majority of people I knew did not, up until very recently. So basically from that point on, that's like when the floodgates opened. And I realized that, you know, while the spiritualism was lovely, and that is definitely, I am a spiritualist, but I also decided that, you know, I wanted to step away and kind of try and do my own thing as well, and found that as a great starting ground. And I then, you know, just started channeling for my friends and meditating a lot and meeting up with my guides. Found the ability to identify other people's spirit guides, and through the spirit guides learn knowledge of their past lives that they've had in this experience on this planet, and reincarnation and so forth. Um, it it's an amazing experience for me, and continues to change my understanding of the other side. So in November, as I'm doing all of this and starting to give messages and whatnot, many other things were happening. Some subjects of interest, so to speak. It was around the middle of that month when I really started to realize that the importance of the heart, and was really focusing on my chakras at the same time. And the color of the heart started to come through to me a lot in my meditations, where I literally see green, and it's something that has not stopped ever since. I see a lot of green now, and the message of the heart, and even reading some of the, surprisingly, and I was raised Unitarian, so I pick and choose from every religion on this earth, but, you know, a lot of, you know, the teachings of Jesus and what he said about the importance of heart, and the sacred heart and whatnot, and love, was something that really started to ring true for me, and it's a very important thing. And I would later find that the beings, the light beings that know and love us, are also sending us this love, and that's partly why I was seeing it. Okay, so then, well, that's like been a lot of strange stuff happened to me in November. Put it that way. I won't get into details. But by in December, I was doing much more channeling. There was one point when I channeled a friend of mine, his guides, and one of his guides was Japanese, and was speaking Japanese to me. And I don't know Japanese. I've never spoken it. My friend knew Japanese and had visited Tokyo, but I certainly had no idea. I took French for 4 years and still can't speak it. But I was able to get out some of the Japanese that I was hearing that he was speaking, tried, you know, to copy what he was saying, and we wrote it down, and it turned out that he was actually speaking to us, and, you know, there were some very coherent sentences, and I'm sure there were a lot more, and if I had said it properly, you know, we would have had a whole conversation. So that was an amazing event for me, in which another time when I truly realized that, you know, I was definitely making a connection. So I will continue to tell you more stories in part 7, the magic number.